Hello everybody, welcome back to the video. In today's video, I want to just kind of prioritize going over the enchants and stuff like that. And Will, one of the developers, is he still even here? Like he dipped, but whatever. Doesn't matter. So he gave me a bunch of like Bonnies with the different enchants, so we can compare them all. It's literally just 5 Bonnies with all the enchants. Like if we look right here, I literally have Bonnie with Phantom, Bonnie with Shadow, Bonnie with Vengeance, Bonnie with Blighted, and Bonnie with Springlocked, which is pretty cool. So we can compare a few things. I could go into game, but I'm not really going to do that because you can see everything right here. And also, I'd have to go back and forward 5 times because they're all Bonnie. I can only equip one of each Bonnie. I don't know if you thought about that. But whatever, I didn't think about it too until I started equipping them. I was like, wait a minute, I can only equip 1. But yeah, so these are the 5 new enchants that was just added, of course. I already kind of made a video going over it a little bit, but I didn't get to go over all of them. So there's a few things that's interesting. So first off, before we do that, let's actually like come over here and just go over it all and stuff like that. So if we go over here, we can see each of the different enchants. So we got Phantom, which does 2% damage, attacks 5% faster, and gets a 35% range. This is good for boosters and stuff like that. Then we have Blighted, which is 20% damage, attack get 20% faster, and 5% range, which is pretty good. Then you have Springlocked, which is 50% damage, 10% range, and 25% true damage. I have no idea what true damage means or anything about that. If someone knows, please comment down below, but there's that. You also have Shadow, which is 35% damage and attacks 50% faster. It's basically a better Blighted, minus, but it doesn't have the extra range. And then you have Vengeance, which is completely broken, 55% damage, 10% range, and 5% SPA, which is like, what, seconds per attack. And it doesn't specify, but it is like 5% faster attack rate. And for each attack, increase the damage boost by 0.5 up to 70% maximum, which is really good. So yeah, so let's go back over to the Bonnies. Okay. So if we go over the first one here, this is for Phantom. So Phantom adds an extra DPS of 8% in a range of 35% total. That 11 plus 5% cooldown ends up giving 8% more DPS. So it's not very good with DPS, but it's really good for range. So it's good for boosters. So Cupcakes or the Scarecrow, that's where it's going to be best. And this is the best enchant for those units. I think I'm going to go over Blighted next. So together, Blighted gets a nice 20% DPS and a 5% range. Blighted is a good balance between the two. If you need some range, but you still want good damage, I think this is where maybe Blighted might be very useful. But most cases, it's just going to be honest, it's kind of useless. But it's kind of just there. It's still pretty hard to get, so like it's not probably worth it. I think at that point it's just better to go for Shadow. So I think Blighted is probably the most useless one here. Next I'm gonna go over Springlocked. So Springlocked really technically has an 8% DPS, but it has that like, what was it, 20%, 25%, whatever it was, true damage, which I have no idea whatever that means. Whatever that means, that is what's going to separate it from the others and make it better. And I have no idea what that means. So yeah, until I know that, then I don't know. Then that's I don't know how to describe this. Went and asked the official Discord server to see if they knew about that 20% true damage, and they're too busy just arguing and not paying attention to my message. That's just normal for that. It's so impossible to get anyone to do anything because all they do is argue and complain. I hate that chat sometimes. My dog's barking. I hope you can't hear that, but I'm not stopping this now because I need to get this done because I have a test to study for later. But if I had to guess, it's something about maybe like armor resistance or something like that. I have no idea. If I had to guess, bosses have a little bit of like defense to them or something like that. Don't really know. I could be totally wrong. I have no idea. And this true damage means that when, you know, they have high defense or something like that, which I don't have no idea what has high defense. If I'm just gonna say bosses because it's a good example that might have it, but it probably doesn't. I don't know, but whatever. But it means that it basically this 20% true damage, which I don't know how to describe it at all. Words are hard. It means that it won't take part in the defense, and overall it'll have an extra 20% damage, which might mean against high defense enemies, maybe it'll be better than even like Vengeance will be, depending on how much defense, and maybe we'll be getting some like higher defense stuff later. And what just happened to my, like, what the? It just undid my search. What? So yeah, that's how I would describe it. I don't know. There's really no good way to put it. So yeah. Alright, now we're going to go over Shadow. So Shadow, this is a total of 25 DPS, which is really good. It's nothing crazy, but it's a little bit better than Blighted. But you don't get that extra range. So basically how I see it is it takes that extra 5% from the Blighted in range and adds it to the damage. Which, depending on which one you use, if you want more range or you want more damage, I think that's which one's going to end up being the better choice. It's very similar though. I would just honestly call it maybe a little bit better version than Blighted. But the thing is that, like, the Shadow may not be as useful in some situations as maybe Blighted is. And oh my goodness, I cannot get the, like, I've been probably playing too much Dead by Daylight lately because I cannot get the idea of Blighted as like Blighted, like from Dead by Daylight. What does Blighted even mean in 5? Like, what does that even mean? This, you know, I'm gonna ignore that. And of course, you have the one, the only Vengeance, which is absolutely broken. Kind of. It gives a 30% damage, which is, you know, even better than the Shadow, and 10% more than the Blighted. So it does a 30% DPS increase. And it also has a 10% range increase. So it's a huge double in both ways. It's literally just basically mixed between a better Shadow and a better Blighted in one. And its ability to go up to 70% is incredible just by letting it attack for a little bit. And fun fact, it's actually better than the Champion Enchant. I have one here, a shiny one. It only does 28% DPS and 0 range. If you remember, Vengeance did 30% DPS and 10% range, so it's worse in DPS by a little bit and a lot worse in range. So overall, well, actually, it's a lot worse in DPS because Vengeance, that's only what, 50% you saw, or 55, when it can get up to 70. So it's even better in DPS than. It's just, I can't believe that Vengeance is better than a Dev Enchant. Like, it's just crazy. But yeah, that's that. There's not really a whole lot more to go over. I just wanted to go over the enchants. Thank you again to Will for actually like letting me showcase these and kind of deep dive in, like, into them a little bit more for this video. I showed my Discord server that I got all of them, and then one of them legit literally said it's the he called it the Bonfinity Stones. I don't know, I just found that really stupid, but it's funny. So again, thank you to Will for giving me all 5 of them. Just if there's a 6th, it would match perfectly with the Bonfinity Stones. That was stupid as I say it more out loud. It was more funny than I thought it was apparently, but yeah. There's really not a whole lot more to go over this video. Well, there isn't, that's it. So yeah. There's a weird bug here that if you like unequip all, like, it leaves the background. I don't know. The worst part of recording sometimes is because I want to yawn and then I have to like get out what I want to say, pause it, and then yawn and then continue. That just happened there. So yeah, I'm ending this video here. Thank you guys so much for watching all the way to the end. It would really mean a lot if you hit the like button and subscribe. Join the Discord. Would really mean a lot. Pretty cool there. But yeah, peace out, guys.